Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live podcast.
And we are the Loxecutioners. We're going to be eating lightning and talking thunder and power bombing you right in the ear holes today. Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself, Todd Lox, the People's Champ. Boom. We're iron clawing National Mental Health Month right now. I'm going to read you something real quick before I introduce my guest. Now, this document was obtained by one of our investigative reporters here at the ESL studios. I'm not going to read the name on it, though. So thank you for always making me feel welcome and always making me feel okay and better. You always found a way to help me when I was sad, angry, etc. You knew how I was feeling. You never made me feel bad about myself. You made me feel better about myself. You let me vent to you or just yap. Our conversations always had laughs, tears, smiles, encouragement, and a lot more. You made me happy. You just understood everything. You understood me, never judged me, never made me hate myself. It was always the opposite of those. You made me feel safe and comfortable. Without you, you made me feel comfortable with you. I couldn't ask for a better counselor in school. I know it's going to be hard for me in high school without you. I can't imagine what I would have done without you this year. I'm going to bring my guest on. She is a counselor at Trimpe Middle School here in Bethalto. Here she is, Miss Carrie Lieberman. Hello, Miss Lieberman.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Good freaking morning, and welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow. I know you're an avid listener of my little show, so we thought, this being National Mental Health Month and you being a counselor, what a great fit.
I'm wondering where you got that letter.
Anyway,
how did you find those?
The secrets of the Eat, Slay, Live investigative reporters. We dig deep here, okay? This is, and I cannot give up our journalistic ethics. I don't even know what that means.
Well, good job. Kind of like pulled at my heartstrings a little this morning.
It really did mine too. Anyway, what I was trying to say with that is just mind your business, okay?
Got it.
Anyway, so we're going to start with a little bit of your background. You're a school counselor now at the Bethalto School, unit district number 8 at Trimpe Middle School, correct?
Yes.
Just making sure I got my information right.
Correct.
Now, you started out as a teacher?
I did. I taught for 14 years. Started out right out of college at Marquette and taught there for 7 years. And then an opportunity opened up at CM in Bethalto. And I went from Marquette to CM and stayed there for 7 years. The only reason I left is I got my master's in counseling and an opportunity opened up in the counseling realm, high school. And so I took it. So I left teaching health, medical occupations, and PE, and went to Highland as a high school counselor. I was a counselor there for 7 years. And then just this past year, I had the opportunity to come back to the Bethalto School District, which I loved. I had never been in the middle school, but I went ahead and went for it, and I absolutely love it.
Go Eagles. Eagles rise.
Right.
So why the switch from teaching to counseling? Where have you always had a desire to be a counselor? Did you see a need? What was your reasoning for going from teaching to counseling?
So I'm going to back up. I just, I thought about this. When I was teaching and teaching health, I was teaching all the different areas, health, nutrition, all things, stress, anxiety, mental health. And, those topics are pretty heavy. And I had a student, I'm going to go back to this. I had a student, and, I always say, and especially now, attention is attention, whether it's negative or positive. And this kid really struggled in school. He would rather have been in school suspension or preferably out of school suspension than in school. It was his way to basically get attention. Even though it was negative, it was how he went about getting that attention. So I had him for health, and health is only a semester. So we started out the semester, and he would roll in late every day when he was at school. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why is he late? Why are you late to class? And the more I got to know, it's like he wanted me to give him a referral. He expected me to be mad at him, angry. I will say, in my whole 14 years of teaching, I think I only wrote 2 referrals in that whole 14 years. My thing as a teacher was to try to get to know the kids. And so with him, I started like, what am I going to do? He would roll in late, and I would say, oh my gosh, it's so glad you're here. I'm so glad you got here. Even though you're 5 minutes late, even though you're 10 minutes late, I'm so glad you're here. We're just getting started. This is what we're doing today. Have a seat. And then I'd pull him aside, and I'd really stress and emphasize, like, I really am glad you're here. I just, and build that rapport with him and build a relationship with him. And it's crazy when you do that, when you build that relationship, when you build that rapport. um they start showing up for you, and then they don't want to disappoint you. And so you kind of build this relationship together. And he I think about him often. I mean, he was ended up being one of my favorite students, and he passed health. And it's just a great thing when I look at that. It's just building relationships, building that rapport. How can I do that more with kids? How can I connect with kids? How can I help kids? And that's kind of what eventually led me into the counseling field. So
Just you saw a need there. You saw like maybe like how you helped him, how you could just help kids in a more deep way. I'm guessing
yes, absolutely.
instead of
Like,
teaching them pickleball.
well, I did love that too. I did love teaching. It was very hard for me to leave, but now that
Mhm.
I'm in the counseling world, I love it too. And like I said, I'd never done middle school, and it's similar but different problems than I dealt with at the high school. But man, I love it. I love those middle school kids. They still like to give hugs, and it's great. I love it.
So I talked about on here. I put in the post that like you're sort of a you like to find solutions to problems like different ways. So what have you felt like? What is your kind of counseling technique? I'm sure everyone has it. Like every counselor has their own way of doing things. Where do you kind of base yours off of, and where did
Well,
it come from?
a lot of counselors, social workers, we all kind of work together, and we all work with kids. But we really do something, and I won't get too much into this, but Saluka's focus therapy. We don't have a lot of time. It's not like we can see these kids one on one every week by appointment, Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We all wear many different hats. So even though I'm a counselor, I'm doing the schedules, I'm changing schedules, I'm attending meetings. Just there's so many things um, that we're all responsible for. So Saluka's focus therapy is basically like, what is the problem? What is the issue? Like, we got to get that out right there, right when they come in. Hey, what's going on? What's up, kiddo? How can we solve it? What are our goals? How can we solve it? Is it changeable? Is it possible? And then we have to focus on those quick solutions, and then we get you back to class. So I always say, unfortunately, I do the best that I can, but a lot of what we do in the middle school, high school is kind of a band-aid approach. Like, we have to fix the immediate problem, and then we have to get them back to where they need to be. So we create something, or I create something called toolbox. Like, what's in your toolbox? What can you utilize? What can you use when you're feeling stressed, when you're having anxiety, when all of this chaos or things are going on in your life? So we'll kind of go through each one of those things that I use in counseling with different things. The biggest
Let me
one
stop you.
is, oh,
Let
go ahead.
let me stop you there. So I guess a normal, like a counselor outside of school, they see someone on a regular basis, and that person may like be in a good place or bad place or whatever, but you just kind of talk about them. It's just kind of an ongoing series, I don't know, an ongoing process with them. Now you basically see kids at their worst most of the time, I'm assuming. There's been an outburst at school, something traumatic has happened at home, and they've brought their emotions, like Mr. Kilpatrick talked about, they're unable to regulate their emotions, and that's when either they choose to come and see you, or I guess maybe a teacher or admin or someone has sent them to you. So a lot of times you're seeing these kids at their worst, right? Like in an emotional explosion, right?
Yeah, Aaron did a great job yesterday talking about, being kids having a hard time being able to regulate their emotions. It's difficult. It's hard. They leave a home that's in chaos, and they have to come to school, and they have to try to sit in a classroom and perform and do math or whatever it may be. So it's very difficult for them. So yeah, that's where these kind of tools come in. And the biggest one and I think the most important one, the one that I think I've had the most success with, is them coming to talking to me, them putting in to come see me, to talk to me, and me simply listening, truly listening to them. Um, you know, my bottom one on this list is called unplug, but we are on our phones. People are on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all the other million different platforms. And, you know, parents including, this is kind of where I'm getting to this. And so we're all plugged into these electronics. Kids are in sports. There's just not a lot of time where families are sitting down and eating and talking. And these kids just need someone to talk to. They just need someone to listen to them. Sometimes I don't even have to say anything. Sometimes I just have to sit there and listen to them. And they will talk and they'll cry and they'll ramble on and they'll tell me all of these things, and I just listen and I tell them I understand, and we converse a little back and forth, but a lot of times they'll pop back up and they'll be like, "Thank you, Miss Lieber. I feel better. I can go back. I just needed someone to hear me." And so I think that is the biggest thing. And we all can do that. We all can take the time to listen.
Look, let me stop you there, and I love that. I think it's so true. There's just not enough like FaceTime and talking and just listening. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's focus and attention now is so short that it's just like somebody gets going and you zone out and you pick up your phone and things like that. Let me just talk a little more investigative reporting here. And I'm glad you said that. So this is dear Miss Lieberman. Thank you for listening to all my bull crap. You helped me figure out how to talk to my friends when they were mad at me. I talked to you about my dad when I was in shock about his death and couldn't handle my emotions about it. I had no one to talk to about it, and you were there for me. So thank you.
Yeah, like kind of, again, pulls at your heartstrings.
Well, that's an example of what you said in your toolbox. It's just she had no one else to talk to. You know what I'm saying? Him or her, I don't know. Had no one else to talk to, but you were there just listening. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Obviously it had something very traumatic happen to them, and you were there. You were the listener. You were the person.
Yeah, it's just I would say, and that's about, when I meet with kids, that's about 75% of what I do is just listen to them. I don't have solutions for everything. I wish I did. When chaos is happening in their home, or there's addiction in their home, or abuse in their home, I can't fix a lot of those things, but I absolutely can listen to their pains and their struggles, and try to work through it with them, and at least help them regulate their emotions, give them tools to deal with some of those situations. So that's just a big part of my job, is just listening.
Right.
Yeah.
What else do we have in the toolbox there?
Breathing techniques is something we use a lot. I call it box breathing, square breathing is just kind of our go-to, what we use a lot. You guys have probably all heard of like the fight or flight response, right? That's that stress response. It always reminds me in the health book when we would talk, when we talk about it, it was always the story or the example they would give is like, if you were walking down a dark alley and someone jumped out at you, which is so, kind of doesn't happen a lot, but it invokes that fight or flight
Elbow
response.
smash them right in the crown of the nose, right here.
I
The
knew,
eyes
I know
water,
that's what
the
you would do.
nose runs. They can't breathe. They can't see that.
Yeah,
That's what you do. Oh,
yeah.
or you can run away. Yeah.
Right. It's beneficial in those types of situations where you're either going to face that situation or you're gonna get yourself out of there. It's that kind of built-in response your body has. But what happens is when that response is starting to happen with those everyday kind of things, like people are stressed now over, money or schoolwork, or the list goes on. So it evokes that fight or flight response, which eventually can lead to, you know, all of those chemicals being released that can eventually lead to, stress and anxiety that you have every day. It lowers your immune system, it causes high blood pressure, all of these things. So box breathing, square breathing is something that can be utilized by everyone when we're having that stress response. I like that there's all kinds of different breathing techniques. We use box breathing because it's very simple. You breathe in for four.
Can you show us that, please?
Wait, I'm gonna just say it and then you can visualize it.
Well,
So
you
you
say,
breathe.
you say it, and then I do it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you breathe in for four.
Hold on.
So
How do I know it's 4?
well, you just have to kind of count in your head. So a long, deep breath in. So you're filling your lungs. Hold for four. Really slowly for four. And then you just be for four. So you just sit. And then yes, namaste.
Wow. Ready to
Right?
fight. Ready to fight. No, not fight. I shouldn't be ready to fight. No, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready. I'm feeling better.
Good.
But
So
I
you do
get
that two, three, four times.
but I get how something like that is happening, and like stress, chaos, and you just take the time. It's not very, 16 seconds, something like that. You just take the time, and you just focus on the breathing, and that you kind of forget about that problem for a second. And that does, when you breathe in and out like that, it does make you feel a little better. It kind of lowers your heart rate, lowers the stress. So I can see
Yeah.
how that would work. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that these kids can do in class, and no one is even know they're doing box breathing or square breathing. Something you can utilize anywhere without anyone even knowing you're doing it. So we really preach that. Like when you're in class, when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're having a test or test anxiety, whatever it may be, utilize box breathing. The kid sitting next to you is not going to know you're doing it. I go in and do sixth grade presentations in the health class on stress and anxiety. And this is one thing that we talk about and we practice in the class. We go over and over, and then I pass out these like great little like stickers, and they're all like breathe, reminding kids to breathe. This one's in the shape of a square, has mountains on it. Imagine that.
Mm.
um, and they're stickers, and so they peel them off, and a lot of them will put them on the back of their IDs. And they're textured, so it's also kind of like used as a fidget and reminds them to utilize those breathing techniques that we practice when I go in to the classroom. It's on the back of their IDs. No one sees it. They love them. So, that's definitely one thing that we use often.
With the breathing thing, and like I've talked on here a lot about like cold plunge and getting an ice. And if you get, they teach you that same base of the Hoff breathing, man, they teach you that same thing, just deep breaths in, deep breaths out, hold. And it again, I mean, that's a physical stress, but it's also a mental stress reliever, like to quit thinking about the physical danger that you're in, and just concentrate on the breathing. And it helps to just sit in cold water. So I can see also how that just, if some sort of like stress or mentally is going on, that would help.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something anyone can use. It takes practice and it takes you remembering to do it, but it really does work. So, that's another big tool for your toolbox. You and I talk about this a lot. Exercise, moving your body. I can't think of a better brain break than exercise. And I really stress and emphasize this with the kids. Like, go for a walk when you're feeling overwhelmed, when things are chaotic at home, when things are happening. Put on your headphones if you have them. Put in some of your favorite music and go for a walk. Walk. It will distress you. It gives your brain a little break from, the trauma, the chaos that's going on in it. But exercise is huge. I mean, we could talk about that for the rest of this podcast. But
I just worked
um,
out, I just worked out this morning. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel much better mentally.
hang
And
on, do that. Hey, do that again. Let me get on my glasses.
I'll do the jokes on this, so thank you very much. But yeah,
So
we talk about it with verbatim, and when I talk about it, people just think, "Oh, yeah, you're biased because you own a gym." But I feel like I'm a semi-happy person a lot, and live a pretty good life. And it's like I've been working out my entire life, so I give most of the credit to that. Just when you're working out, you don't and you're working out and you're pushing yourself to a hard workout. You're not thinking about some stupid little stressor in your life. You're thinking about what you're trying to accomplish in the gym, what you've accomplished, and just getting through it. And then once you're done, you have that accomplished feeling. Maybe nothing else in your life is going right, but you've completed that workout and you have at least that one win for the day, and that can make you feel a whole lot better.
absolutely. And it releases those endorphins, so you feel good for a while. I talk to when I'm talking with students, kids, I tell them that all the time. Some of my days are heavy, depending on what I'm dealing with. Some days I leave there and I'm like, so every day I pack my backpack before I leave for work, has my workout clothes in it. So, at 2:30, I'm changing into my clothes. 2:45, is when we get to leave. And I leave straight from work and go straight to the gym. Don't even stop by home. Go straight there, get a good hour and a half workout in. And it just sets me up right for the rest of my day to come home to my family and not be stressed and not take it out on them. It's just something that I need. It's something I schedule in like a meeting or anything else in my day is that workout, pretty much every single day. And yeah, it does wonders for the mind.
Right. Go to the gym and beat up the weights rather than go home and beat your family. Yes, it makes total sense.
Yes. Yeah. So, so yeah, going for a walk, headphones, music, that's another big tool in the toolbox. People love music. You know what? Bentley is going crazy. I have to let him out. Sorry.
We'll play some mood music while you're gone.
Okay. That it just was a second.
Okay. Welcome back.
Sorry, it's been going on for like 15 minutes. um, Next is in our toolbox that we create is art drawing. Art therapy is so popular because it has so many benefits to it. So being able to just sit and doodle and draw, and that's really big for kids too. A lot of kids love drawing, love, even if it's just they're not artists, but just drawing scratches, circles, whatever it may be. um in my office, right when you walk in, I have this big table where the kids sit, and I have a whole basket full of fidgets. It has like therapy putty in it. It has links. It has all these things, and it's the first thing that I would say 99% come in when they sit down. They grab something out of the fidget basket, and they may be crying, but they're messing with those. They're playing with the putty. They kind of decompress, and then we talk. So that's kind of a big thing too, is keeping your hands busy keeps your mind kind of busy. So we have a big basket full of all kinds of fidgets. um, this one's kind of hard, but it's one, when I'm dealing with kids that have maybe like low self-esteem. Drama is really big in middle school, and kids say a lot of mean things. I had no idea. It's been a long time since I've been in middle school, so I have probably forgot. High school, like I said, has kids who kind of stir up drama, but not near as much as middle school. And it's amazing that some of the things that kids say to other kids. I was a little bit shocked when I first started there. So affirmations, I think, are really big for this age group. The I am statements. I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am, we do a lot. Negative self-talk is very easy. When I ask kids, like, what do you like and dislike about you? It takes 2 seconds for them to rattle off to me what they dislike about themselves. And it takes quite a while for them to come up with things that they do like about themselves. So we really work on that. Affirmations, like waking up each day with the, I am statements. Waking up, looking in the mirror, I am worthy, I am smart, you know, all interject whatever adjective you would like into that. But that's really big as affirmations.
Is that hard to get? Like you said, it takes a while to come. But is that hard to get them to do that? Like they think, oh, this is corny, or do you have someone who said it's corny, and then like they end up doing it and continue making it a practice, and it becomes something that they always do.
Well, what I do is every time I see them or they're in my office or whatever it may be, before they can leave my office, I always make them say, I am what? And they know what I'm talking about. And they'll be like, I am smart. I am, and they kind of like smile and they say it back to me. So it catches on. It takes a while. And, I don't know if they utilize or practice it every day, but when
Mhm.
they're with me, it's something that we do. We focus on those I am statements.
I am strong.
I yes. Well, in my car it says "You're awesome" on my windshield. So every day I'm driving, I left that up there. So every day I drive, I'm like,
I bet
yeah,
you do.
yeah, I am awesome. So yeah, affirmations. Another big thing is waking up, and as soon as you wake up, finding something positive in your life. You know, the world may be falling apart around you, but look for that one good thing. Try to find that one good thing right when you wake up. Maybe it's a quote you've picked out for yourself. I have these books and they're amazing and they go by everyday mindfulness, everyday happiness, and everyday kindness. And they're dated, so you wake up and you just flip open to it and you kind of read the quote for the day. What's the everyday kindness quote? Everyday happiness. And it's just a great way to start your morning, is waking up to something positive, reading something positive. You always talk about turning on music first thing in the morning. It's what gets you going. It's kind of like your mojo, your coffee. So find what works for you and make sure it's positive. I always say that, you know what, that day is going to happen with or without you. Like the sun rises, the sun falls. The world, unfortunately, will never stop for us. We just have to figure out if we're going to get on board or not. So, wake up with that mindset of finding something that is good in your life, reading something.
Just like I talked about the other day, like I always listen to these motivational like videos when I'm on my way to work. Like just filling your head, filling your cup, feeling like your vibe with just a positive thing right in the morning. Right in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Instead of
Yeah.
sitting on and scrolling through Facebook and just seeing all this negative crap going on, getting on there and just you hear I like, there's a you're strong, you're sad, like, and they play that and like you can't help it to like just kind of a little bit put you in a little better mood, right?
Yeah. I used to do this thing when I was teaching health. About three, like I said, I only had them for a semester. So 3/4 way of, like the semester, I would play like Beatles, like Have a Little Help from Your Friends, all these like uplifting songs. And I'd have every kid's name on a piece of paper. And, we would talk. And so by now, all the kids kind of know each other. We did a lot of group work in health. Just had a lot of conversations. We interacted a lot with one another. And so I had these papers out with all their names on it. So every kid had to go around the classroom and write something about that kid on their desk. And they had to initial it because they had to validate what they were saying. And it had to be one of my favorite assignments because we would get done with this and everybody's kind of dancing and writing things on everybody else's paper, and then you go back to your desk and you sit down and you pick up those papers and you read them. Like, I kind of get like a little sad thinking about this. Like, there wasn't one kid in that classroom of 20 to 30 that wouldn't come across something where they were smiling. Like
Mhm.
everybody was smiling reading those. Like, oh man, I didn't know so and so thought that about me. I didn't even know they noticed. I didn't even know they knew who I was, but they said this about me. And it was just like, I loved that assignment. It was so good, and it brought smiles. And I always said, tuck it away somewhere. When you're having a bad day, pull it out and read what these kids think about you. Read what they've noticed about you. And I don't know if any of them did, but it just was like one of the best assignments to see all these smiles on all these kids' faces.
Some kids, they come from a bad home life, don't have a lot of friends. It's probably one of the, they probably don't hear a lot of like positive things said to them or hear a lot of compliments like that. So I could see how that would be incredibly useful for them.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, I'm backtracking to when I was teaching, but having these kids and having 20 to 30 kids each hour, and only having them for a semester, I had very little time to get to know them. So the very first thing I would do on the first day, and instead of like going around saying, my name is so and so, like I gave them a piece of paper. And the big question on it was, if you really knew me, you would know. And I said, no one is going to read these but me. They go through the shredder. I don't leave them sitting around. No one else is going to read these. But tell me, like, if I really knew you, what do you want me to know? Like, if aren't turning in your homework and it's late, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know if you don't tell me. I can't help you if you don't tell me. And, reading through those, little paragraphs, not everyone, but kids would be open and honest and tell me about things going on in their life. Some kids were working a job after school until 11 o'clock, and they were doing it every day. It was like a full-time job. They were helping out their families, or they were experiencing homelessness or chaos in their home or addiction or all of these multitude of things. And if you don't ask, you don't know. And if you don't know, you can't help. And so that was hugely beneficial for me in working with kids. And that helped me make those connections with those kids that you have to make. You have to make those connections. And, I think for the most part, I'm not saying every day was sunshine and rainbows, because kids can be tough, but for the most part, it was good. And when things weren't, instead of writing a referral and sending them out, I just pull them aside or out in the hallway, like, hey, what is going on? Is something going on today? That maybe we need to work through or talk about. And it's amazing how far that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mr. Kilpatrick talked about yesterday. Like when you just send a kid to detention or whatever, you're not getting to the root of any of the problems. You know what I'm saying? You're just making that kid more mad and wanting to lash out more. How you talked about at the beginning, the kid being late, and you're just like, we're just happy you're here and positive. But find out what the root is. And I know teachers have a hard job, and there's so many of them, so many kids, and so few of them. But you know what I'm saying? It's good whenever you're able to do that. So
yeah,
I'm going to start using that technique when you're late all the time. I'm just glad you're here. Just glad you showed up. I've read this before, but it's like what you talked about. Kids, you don't know what their home life is. You don't know what they're going through. And I've read this on here before, but I love it every time. It gives me goosebumps every time I read it. It's a poem. It's called "'Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." Goes, I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. I dug in the dirty clothes basket because ain't nobody washed my uniform. Brushed my hair and teeth in the dark because the lights ain't on. Even got my baby sister ready because my mama wasn't home. Got us both to school on time to eat us a good breakfast. Then when I got to school, the teacher fussed because I ain't got no pencil. I mean, that just gives me goosebumps every time. You don't know what the home life of some of these kids are, you know what I'm saying? And why they might lash out and why they might act the way they do.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. We all just need to take a few steps back every once in a while and like really figure out what's going on in these kids' life. And it's hard because I do work with them. We have confidentiality. So unless you're a harm to yourself or a harm to others, what we talk about in my office stays in my office. I don't call parents. I don't, unless, of course, like I am a mandated reporter. So there are things that we do have to disclose, but for the most part, it's confidentiality. And, I wish I could tell some of their teachers. I usually send like a blanket email, like, hey, this kiddo's going through some stuff. If you could maybe like, if it's not a pertinent assignment, if it can maybe be excused. And, that's kind of how I deal with some situations like that. But these kids are coming to school they don't have power, they don't have water, they live in an abusive home. They just have moved into a foster home and they have nothing. And the list goes on. I mean, we could talk forever about all the things that these kids go through. But yeah, it's so sad.
And even like in a town like Bethalto, you don't think of like some of the trauma that you hear about these kids are going through and some of the circumstances they're living in. We're kind of blind to some of the home lives that they have, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have kids that have, we have numerous kids in foster care that come from addictive homes, homes where parents kind of suffer from mental health issues, homelessness, to no power, no electricity. Like I said, the list goes on, and yeah, it's all within our community there.
You know what? But they're lucky they have you to come in and listen to them. This brightens all their days. My investigative reporter, I've got like a whole stacks of these.
Oh, you have them all. You have all the letters.
I'm just going to do one more. Miss Lieberman, thank you. I wanted to say thank you for all that you have done for me and helped me with. If it wasn't for you, I would probably not have friends and would be sitting in the cafeteria alone every day. That line gets me. Like, I'm going to read that again. I would probably not have any friends and would probably be sitting in the cafeteria alone every day. I've had so many good times with you, and I'm going to miss you so much in high school. I'm going to try to visit. So allow me to thank you one more time for getting me through the 8th grade year. Bye, Miss Barbie. We like you a whole lot.
Oh, yeah, the nickname.
Miss Barbie.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you. I know your passion for these kids, for the work that you do. And I know better than anyone just the positive outlook that you have all the time. It makes your vibe that you give off, the shine that you give off, like you give it to everybody else, and it just makes them shine a little more. So I can see why I got a stack of these and cards and things like that from you. I'm just going to read a few comments real quick. Allison Hill, the best. I think she's talking about you and probably not me. Mandy Bircher, I do not know you, Carrie. You seem very genuine and very on your game in this topic. Great job. Whitney Owens, I wish I had you in middle school. Me too, Whitney. Me too. Leslie. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually Robin. Carrie, such an asset to the kids in Bethalto. I love your spirit, girl. Healthy body, healthy mind. And then again, everyone's favorite, Kathy Clinitti. Carrie nailed it. Positivity. So,
thank you.
Anyway, thank you very much for coming on this little show of mine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank me.
Yeah.
And thank you for the light that you just give off to the world. I mean, you make the darkness just a little bit lighter and just a little bit brighter every day for everyone. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Enjoy your summer off.
Thank you. Much needed.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
And that was Carrie Lieberman, counselor on the show. It's now time for everyone's second favorite part of the show, birthday shout outs. Happy birthday, Heather Elaine. Happy birthday, Josh Purdy. It was good to see you down at we ran into each other in the Lake of the Ozarks this weekend, but at the gym. We were both down there working out. People couldn't tell. Ashley Mitchell, happy freaking birthday. Tim Fonenstock, baseball Marquette's coach. We'll be seeing your players here in about a week or so down at the Thunderdome, bringing in Marquette baseball. Happy birthday to Amber Locks Spar, Amber Spar, my cousin, a veterinarian at Hawthorne in Edwardsville. Thanks for keeping Knuckles healthy. Stephen Sherwood, hope Colorado's treating you great out there, brother. Blondina, thank you. Happy freaking birthday. Tyler Sickmeyer, happy freaking birthday. Anyway, that has been the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow. Mike Young has a comment. Mike Young, longtime listener, all the time caller. I get it on the slate. Good interview. Love the positive input. You guys are awesome. It's been a great month on the podcast. Thank you very much. You might get listener of the month this month, Mike. So thank you. Anyway, thanks for growing with us, and slay